I was at the questions, and they were really bad, but it looked bad.
I'm happy for you. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I got my medal.
Yeah,
and
that's
it was
sweet.
sick. I was so upset. Yeah, there was 5,000 people running, and they put us in like 1,000 people groups, and yeah, it was just insane. There's this guy again on track this year. He goes at this 67-year-old guy who's got open heart surgery. Yeah, and he was incredible for a while, but I was like, hell yeah, no.
Okay, how is everyone doing? Good. Good. So I start at 9:30 exactly. We have like 1 more minute. But just let you know, I record my lectures, so I should tell you that I recorded before I start the lecture. So how are you all dealing with the snow and the freezing?
It's interesting.
Okay.
It's cold.
So how many of you used to snow and cold weather? Okay, most of you. How many are not used to snow? Okay. Let me see. That clock is a little behind. So now it's 9:30. I think I can just start the lecture. So first of all, hello everyone. My name is Lida Farsi. I'm going to be your instructor for carbon compounds. That monitor is just like bothering me. And I come here, I guess I can see everyone. So I joined University of Idaho last October in the middle of the semester. And literally I was just rushing to finish the lectures that I was supposed to cover. And I didn't have much time to introduce myself or like talk with the students more or kind of like, have like my own syllabus and course schedule. So right now I have the advantage of like starting from the beginning of the semester, communicate with you all my expectations. So first of all, before I just started anything, I want you all to know that you can just reach out to me anytime about anything. If you have like course concerns, if you couldn't study well, at some point or like anything. I just try to be really approachable, understanding, and my course policy is that I guess first of all, the main thing that I care about in my teaching is like you guys learning things, and I deeply care about all of you, and I try to show that to you with like scheduling office hours, posting my lectures online in case you miss them, you can watch them, post as many materials as I can, whether it's like previous exams, previous quizzes, like homework assignments. I do as best as I can to make sure all of you learn. And some professors may prioritize grades. For me, if you learn, you get a good grade. So in my course, there is no way that you know the materials well and you don't get a good grade. Does that make sense? So as long as you care about the course, you get an A or like minimum B. So first, so can you all see that well? Maybe I can just okay, zoom a little bit. Usually it gets a little distorted. Okay, so I'm using this software, Explain Everything Basics, that and I'm using the iPad that university provided for me, so I can record the lectures and just upload it in YouTube, and I'm going to post the links on Canvas. So hopefully, I myself, I would prefer to just write on the board, but that's just me, I guess your generations, you're much better with the technology, so maybe that is equivalently good. So something that I didn't put in my course schedule and syllabus is that, as you can see, I have an accent. I'm Iranian, and I try my best to talk clearly and eloquently. But if you don't understand what I'm saying, just like interrupt me and ask me, what does that mean? What did you say? So I won't be offended or like heartbroken. I appreciate it. And as we go through the lectures, you see, sometimes I'm trying to convey something to students, and I realize that they're not understanding what I'm saying, but it's maybe because some word that I'm using, I'm not using it correctly or not pronouncing it right. So don't be afraid to correct me or ask me any questions you have or interrupt me at any point. So I don't want, the language barrier prevents me to teach something that I'm teaching to you. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's the first thing. And hopefully I can get through all these materials because I'm just going so slow. Anyway, so this is our classroom. When you registered for the course. So my office is just downstairs, Renfrew 001. So I scheduled these office hours, 10:30 to 11:30. I thought it's right after the class. So as of right now, how many of you can attend these office hours if you want to? Okay, for those of you who cannot, what time is your preference? What about 2 to 3? Can you all attend? Okay. So I may, add the other hour. So, and the other thing is that, anything in the course syllabus and course schedule, depending on the class progress, I may change or modify, and I will send an announcement about it on Canvas, or also announce it in the class. And as, I realize some of you cannot attend this, I'm going to add some hours, so I make sure all of you have the opportunity to come to my office hours. But in general, I have an open door policy. So anytime that you stop by Renfrew and then you see, the light is on, you're just welcome to knock at my door, come inside. So, and anytime, you have any questions, you can just you can just stop by anytime, but to make sure I'm at my office, I encourage you to just send me an email in advance so I make sure that I'll be at my office. So we're going to use this organic chemistry by Cengage, this textbook, and I listed that in the course syllabus. And I asked you guys to purchase the book, and it's available through bookstore and also in the Cengage website itself. So the reason that I asked you to have the book is that as we go along with the lectures, I'm going to write you guys study guides and all that, but I usually post the study guides after we're done with the chapter, and I really want you guys to be up to date with the lectures, with the course, and it would be much faster, and I believe it would be much more beneficial for you guys to have the book. So you can just have the e-text, as I mentioned, it's, I think around $40 to get the book. But you're also welcome to Google, and that if you find the free version or different editions, that's fine too. And I also listed some other additional resources that they are open access and you can just access those. But my primary, book that I'm teaching from would be just this book, and everything, all the homework problems, quiz problems, exam problems, everything would be from this book. So any questions so far about the office hours, the book, anything? Okay. So, okay. There are also, most of the structures that we're dealing with the carbon compounds. So basically this course, is really three-dimensional, as you'll see, as we go through the lectures, that there are so many. Yes, of course. So many three-dimensional structures and all that there are molecular modeling kits available, at CHEM bookstore, that you can just have them and then use them throughout the course, And as we progress in the lecture, I talk about them more and then show you some of them in the class. So right now you don't have to worry about them, but I included those in the course syllabus, so you'll be aware of them and have them. So Canvas. Okay, I guess that is not helping what I'm doing. Trying to zoom in. Okay. Any questions? Good? Okay. So as you know, or some of you may know that University of Idaho instead of BBLearn or Blackboard, now we're using Canvas. And I am using Canvas as a primary way of communication with you all. So the first thing is the class, but when we're outside of the class, I send an announcement on Canvas. So make sure you automatically receive emails on Canvas, and if you're not, change the settings, so you receive emails. And if you don't want to receive so many emails, just check Canvas every day, because sometimes I may send an announcement about a quiz that, okay, there was an error in the quiz, or like I, post some additional questions or like study guides to help you understand the material. So I'm going to post those and send an announcement that, okay, I posted that, be aware, So all the communication I'll do through Canvas. Okay, and then here I listed some of the materials that I will be posting on Canvas. You know that you'll see your grades on Canvas. I post the study guides after each chapter. And yeah. And any questions? Good? Okay. So this book has 18 chapters. And I'm trying to cover 18 chapters. So just looking at it, I cannot probably go through all the materials. But I directly, explicitly tell you that, okay, 1, 2, 1, 3, or which parts of the chapter I'm going to cover, and I ask you from those in the exam. And I think that is one of the reasons that it's really good to have the book, because based on my experience, if I just want to write every single thing, it just, for me, it's not possible to cover the chapter maybe, or like 18 chapters. Maybe I just cover like 3 chapters during the semester. So to prevent that, most of the time I try to write the materials in advance, and then have like, as you can see, for instance, I had a PDF file, and then I just like uploaded those in like this software, explain everything, and now it's in the format of PowerPoint in this sense. So I try to do those in advance, and I'm going to post everything that is in the format of PowerPoint, or everything that I do before the class, I'm going to post that on Canvas. So you don't have to worry about writing everything. So you can focus on learning during the class, and you'll be having the PowerPoint available to you. Does that make sense? And here, I posted some of the things that I'm going to post, like lectures, study guides, answers to homework problems, quizzes, exams. Some professors, they just, they don't post the exam solutions because they want to use it like for the next semesters. I won't do that. So every semester I'm going to write new materials, and I think, you should have those to learn well. Any question about Canvas, study guides? Okay, attendance. So as I told you, I'm recording my lectures, I'm posting them on Canvas, but I require attendance in the class. The reason is experience. Last semester for my Chem 101 course, I didn't require attendance, and I was posting the lectures online. I had 250 students. Roughly 120 were showing on the class, and 30 students were watching the lectures online. I had 100 students that they wouldn't come to the class, they weren't watching the lectures. And I talked with so many students, and they were telling me just right the night before the exam, they had 4 lectures to watch. I mean, I wouldn't do that. if I had 4 lectures like the night before the exam, I just would go through the book or like ask other students or like read whatever I had to prevent like being in front of my laptop for like 4 hours or more watching the lectures. So to prevent that, I'm going to require attendance. And the way I keep track of it is whether through class activities or like I randomly call some names, so I make sure that students show up, and by time I know who are the students who are attending the class and who are the ones not. So for that matter, but for all reasons that I mentioned, I require attendance. And I wrote in the schedule that or like the course syllabus, I think I wrote that if you miss like 6 lectures, you automatically fail the course. What I mean by that is unexcused absences. So if you have like a family emergency, or like you got, God forbid, COVID, or like you got sick, or for like medical or like other reasons, you couldn't attend 10 lectures. As long as you have them excused and communicate with me about those, that is fine. What I mean is that if you just at some point decide that, I don't like the course, or I don't like her, I'm not gonna go to the class, I'm not learning, and you just stop showing up to the class, that is not acceptable in my course. Does that make sense? So as long as you have your absences excused, you're good. And as I mentioned, if you cannot attend the class, just let me know in advance. And I know things happen. Sometimes you get stuck in the traffic, you, God forbid, have an accident, or something happens, you cannot email me before the class. Just let me know afterwards so I know you care about the course. So as I said, my main primary goal is for you to learn, and I really care about my students. I guess like this is, the most thing that I care about, I mean, the first thing is just like health of my family members, I guess. But rather than that, it's just like, my students. And you can ask students who had the course, I'll do what I have in my power to show you how I care about you, and I really do care about everyone. So as long as, you care to some level about the course too, that's all I need from you. So just, show up to the class. But in the next paragraph, I wrote down sick policy. If you're sick, don't show up to the class. Because again, I care deeply about you and all your classmates and everyone at university. So if you feel like sick of any sort, just don't show up in the class, and just send me an email, let me know that you're not feeling well, you're not attending the class, and then let me know how many sessions you're missing depending on what's going on. And you don't have to tell me what's going on, but what I'm saying is that just to let me know so I know you have an excused absence. But definitely, if you're not feeling well, just stay home and follow the lectures online. And that is one of the reasons that I'm posting the lectures online, because we're living in the middle of the pandemic. So I don't want to risk anyone's life because I have attendance mandatory. Any question about any of this? Okay, and as you know, we have like a mask policy at University of Idaho. So I had like some students telling me during student evaluations that semester that some students weren't masks, or like weren't wearing masks properly during the class, and they expected me to say something. So just make sure that you have your masks on, unless you're eating or drinking, have it on completely, and yeah, so that is that. So lectures, I already mentioned that what book I'm going to use, and as I said, some of the part of the lectures I may skip, and depending on the course progress, I may see that 18 chapters is so much, so I may eliminate some chapters, I may do some adjustments. So I will send notifications on Canvas, I will announce in the class, but in general, as I mentioned, I'm going to record the lectures, post them on Canvas, so you can refer to them later too. Imagine I'm teaching something and then the material was like dense and, you know, or like you were taking notes, you couldn't understand what I'm saying, so for whatever reason you want to refer to them. So that's one of the main reasons that I'm posting the lectures online. Okay, online homework assignments. So, I don't mean to scare you with like the numbers here. The homework assignments are really short and sweet. And they are like each Friday after you know, progress with the course in some extent, I'm going to post a homework assignment. The main reason is that, as I said, you know, in the previous semester, I mean, I didn't mention that, I guess, before. We had like 4 quizzes and 5 exams, and that was the grade. But I realized, you know, I started assigning extra credit homework assignments. So for the previous semester, it was like extra credit because I weren't allowed to change the course structure and all that. And I realized just like 4 quizzes and like 5 exams are not enough, and students really loved the homework assignments. So for that matter, I decided to include them in the lecture. So just by doing like homework assignments, you get like 300 points. And they would be multiple choice questions unless I specify otherwise in the instructions of the homework assignments. And they would be pretty straightforward from the materials that I'm teaching. And for these online homework assignments that would be on Canvas, you are allowed to use your notes, your book, online resources, anything that you want, you can use. And the reason that I'm doing that is that I realize sometimes when the students are given online exams, they are asked not to look at their materials. But I know as a fact, some students always look at their notes, you know. And to make it fair towards all students, I allow all of you to use your notes, materials, and everything. But after you're done with that homework assignment, I expect you to know the materials by heart. Because when you come to the class for in-person exams, you are not allowed to use your notes or book or any other materials. But for these online ones, you can use whatever you want to make, so I make sure that you learn everything. Is that clear? Okay. And then we have like online quizzes. So the structure of quizzes are really similar to the homework assignments. Most probably, most of them would be just like multiple choice questions, and it's just like more chapters. And depending on where we are, you know, in the course syllabus or like course schedule rather, you know, the materials would be different. But I will let you know exactly what I'm going to ask you in each homework assignment or like quiz. And for your first homework assignment, which I will post this Friday, I just ask about like the course schedule, syllabus, academic integrity, anything that I, you know, post or like talk about in the class. And the reason that I do that is that I want to make sure that you know everything that I talked about. Because last semester, like at the end of the semester, I had some students that, where is your office? Or like, do we have like homeworks? So, you know, to make sure that you know everything that I'm talking about, I'm going to have like homework assignments. And as I mentioned, you can use like the course schedule, syllabus, look at those, just like Control F, you know, find the answer. So that would be pretty straightforward. But as I said, afterwards, you should know the answers. Okay, and that is online. Some of the last ones that are like 25 points, and then quizzes are like 40 quizzes. In-person exams. So I just wrote in person to make sure that you know that the homework assignments and quizzes are online, and the exams are in person. And for exams, you're not allowed to use your cell phone or like the book or like your notes, so completely closed book, close notes. And what I was doing previously, I had like, as I said, much bigger crowd of students for one-on-one, like 250 students. So I was asking students, and my TA recommended that we have like the bags, like at the, I guess that class structure was different. But basically, you know, like in the front of the class and the other class was back of the class. And I had, again, in the student evaluation, some students weren't comfortable putting their bag. I guess here won't be that issue because it's just like in front of you. For the other class was like, the structure of the class was different. So if you're uncomfortable putting your bag, you know, somewhere else, just don't bring it for the exam day, because that is the only thing that you will be doing. You know, you can just bring, you know, pen, pencil, and that's it. And for the exams, I'm going to, for sure, use multiple choice questions, and I'm going to give you zip grade Scantron that you use, and you don't have to worry about it. So I just bring it and attach it to your exam, but you only give me that. And you use pen or pencil. I prefer, I guess it's better for you to use pencil because you can erase in case you want to adjust your answer for that matter. But if you're sure of the answer, pen would be fine too. And so your exams would be multiple choice questions, and I will provide you with the zip grade Scantron. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, and here I also wrote the points for, and also for quizzes and assignments. I had like points for each, you know, for homework assignments. Each one is roughly 20 points except each one. And then exams, each one is like 100 except the final exam, which is like out of 200 and covers everything that we talk about in the course. But having like the homework assignments and quizzes and everything, I think it should be fine because now you know everything that we talked about. And as I said, you know, I'm not going to trick you. I'm not going to talk about something and then you see something in the exam that you didn't see. It's really straightforward. Anything that I talk about in the class, and you'll see, I'm going to provide you with so many sample questions, examples, so I make sure that you learn everything well. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. Everyone understanding me well? Everyone can hear me well? Okay. Yeah, this is much a smaller class, and I tend to shout when I'm talking because I'm recording this, but yeah. But that's just because of that. Okay, and then grading. So I try to have a structure that is straightforward. So it's like out of, the total points are out of 1,000. So 900 to 1,000 would be an A, and then the rest. So hopefully that shouldn't be an issue. And as I said, depending on the class progress, I may think of ways to increase the grades or like communicate with you, you know, think of like extra credit assignments, but it depends on the class progress and the class needs. So watch out for like announcement on Canvas. Everything that I posted here might change depending on the class progress. Tutoring. So this course is provided with tutoring, and it starts on Monday and 24th, and then here I listed the times for tutoring, so you can make an appointment with a tutor and talk with them about like carbon compounds, and we have like wonderful tutors at TLC that you can take advantage of. And they're going to come to the class on Friday to make a presentation about tutoring, and they talk in more detail about like the services that they are providing. Okay. Any questions so far about tutoring? Anything? Okay, so now I'm going to talk about academic integrity. So I try my best to make sure all of you learn and get good grades. And as I mentioned, as long as you learn, I think there is no way that you learn the materials and you get bad grades. I think that is not just possible. And for that matter, I'm trying to be really understanding, and something that maybe I forgot to mention, I mean, I talked about like excused absences, but for your exams, if you couldn't make it to the one exam because you weren't feeling well, you just like communicate that with me, and I ask for exams if you provide me with the official letter from your academic advisor or like a university official. So if you're not feeling well, you can just like email me, that's fine. But if you're going to a conference, or if there is a athletic event that you need to attend, or I had some students last semester that they were working at university, so they had like their boss at university, they emailed me that my student cannot attend your exam. Or like for whatever reason that you cannot attend, I asked you to just like provide me with an official letter or email saying that you cannot attend. So, and I will be gladly schedule makeup exams for you. So as I said, in this course, as long as you care, everything would be fine. And the same thing applies for like homework assignments or quizzes, that if you couldn't make those because you weren't feeling well, or like you were away in a conference for a week, I asked you to provide an official letter in those instances. But in general, I schedule makeup exams, makeup quizzes, I try to make sure that everyone is on track for CHEM275. Okay. So all those things being said, I'm trying to be really understanding, lenient, and all that. But something that I cannot tolerate is like academic dishonesty. And I provided you with the link to the University of Idaho website, so you can go and just read the policies, in much more detail. But in general, some of the things I listed here, like cheating, plagiarism, collusion. So for cheating, I think all of you know what it means, So when you have like in-person exams, I ask you, not bring any materials to the exam. And as I said, I ask you to put your bags away, because sometimes, you may want to use your book as something to have your paper on and then answer the test. But you see that how that can be confusing, right? So I just ask you to put like everything away and just like focus on the exam, do your best, don't be tempted by like looking at one other person's paper or like, use your phone. Just don't do that, because, I'll be really understanding throughout the semester. You can just like talk with me if you have concerns, if you had like issues you couldn't study well, just talk with me, don't think of, doing anything dishonest. And yeah, something else I wanted to mention about the exams. Yeah, and as I mentioned, for quizzes and homework assignments, you're welcome to use everything you have, but for in-person exams, just, do your best and don't, be tempted to look at other things. Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm going to have multiple versions for the exams. That's what I wanted to mention. So, and as you may see, I will be having lots of questions, true or false. So I give you a structure that does this correspond to this type of compound, true or false. And then if I see that you had like 3 questions, true or false, and you answered C or D for those, 1 can be an accident, but 3, probably you looked at some other person's, paper. So for that matter, just like don't think of, looking at other people's papers. Is that clear? And also, plagiarism. So do you guys know what is plagiarism? So basically, if you're using some other person's work and then not cite them. So for instance, if I read some theory from the book, and I said I came up with this idea that is plagiarism, and this is like really, so now that this is like a, really, I mean, it's like, 200 level course, but still, it's not like that, upper level course. But, when you progress in your academic career, there are like high penalties for people who do plagiarism, and sometimes they cannot continue the research or like be in the field because of plagiarism. So make sure that you cite anything that you use. And as I said, in our course is not that applicable. I'm not giving you like research papers to cite, but in general, this is like a really important topic. So make sure that anytime, so if I ask you a question and I ask you, where did you find this answer? And I had some students in Chem 101 that they would say Google. So that is so broad, you need to refer to the author or the book, and then tell where you got this information that you got. So be aware of that too. And finally, collusion. So sometimes for you guys, all the take-home stuff is online, and we don't have to worry about much. But sometimes, I assign like quiz, or previous semester we had like quizzes, and students were working together, which was fine with me because I talked with them and cleared that up. But in general, depending on the instructor, if I give you homework assignment, I expect you to work on it yourself. So that is what collusion means, unless, you talk with me and then I clear, specify clearly if it's fine, you guys work together or not. And then you should, talk with your other instructors and professors to see, if you're being assigned homework problems, you are allowed to work with other students or not. So for my course, I expect you to do all the homework problems yourself. And as I said, you have your book, online resources, so there is, I guess, not a good reason to just like cooperate on homework problems. Especially, I'm asking you not to do it because I had several students last semester that they would get 50 out of 50 for homework, for quiz problems that they were much more difficult than exam problems, and they would get 30 out of 100 for the exam. So that was telling me that it wasn't their own work. So just work on the homework and quiz problems yourself, and if you have any questions, difficulty, just talk with me. And you'll see during the semester, I'm really fast with email, and I try to answer, right immediately, and then the latest you receive a feedback from me would be a day. But usually I respond pretty fast. And you can just, if you have any question about any part of the lecture, you can just like reach out to me, come to my office hour, or just stop by, and I explain everything to you. So you are encouraged to study in groups, but when it comes to homework problems and quiz problems, I ask you to simply just like do them yourself. And as I listed here, that if I get you cheating in an exam, you'll automatically fail that exam. And then if you do it second time, it can have like really large penalties, like getting out of the program. So as I said, don't do it. I'll try to be as understanding and accommodating as possible, so you don't even have to worry about that. Okay, any question about this? Okay, now I'm going to show you really quickly the course schedule. Insert. Go to first slide. Okay. So I was still finalizing in my head that in each chapter which materials I'm going to cover, and I think depending on the class needs, those might be different. So that's why I didn't specify each content or each section of a chapter here. But as I said, when I teach you the materials or whether write or like have like prepared slides, I'm going to explicitly say that, okay, now we're going to cover, section 3.3. So you should study that section. Does that make sense? So here, I have like a tentative, as you can see, the schedule. And as a rule of thumb, on Fridays, I'm going to post the homework problems on Canvas, and you have till the following Wednesday to answer those. And it would be multiple choice question. It would be like just from the materials that I taught you. So it would be really straightforward. So based on my idea, the homework assignments is just like 300 points, really easily attainable. And it helps you to understand the materials well. And when you want to, answer the questions, first of all, it's in the format of a test, but as I said, these are really easy problems. So you go, open Canvas, and you should take the test or like answer the questions to the assignment in one session. So I had several students last semester that they would go, leave their computer and all that. So and I told them at the time that they could have like resume it, but at the time BB Learn it couldn't distinguish, so it automatically would give them 0. So I had to manually adjust it. To prevent that, I asked you to just like take it in one session. Just start, take the homework assignment. It would be really easy and fast, and you'll be having your course materials. And I think it's enough time, and you won't be needing most probably extension, except you have like a special circumstances. In that case, just like communicate those with me. And here I also had like the quiz schedule. And as I said, these dates I might change for quizzes depending on the class progress. Maybe I decide to postpone them or like have them earlier. In those cases, I will communicate those with you. But other than that, it would be based on this schedule. And then I'll be having like 3 exams and 1 final exam. And here I wrote different units, and then I wrote exam 1 material, so you know what materials would be on exam 1. But again, I will going to, emphasize those chapters or like talk about these things in the class before, each exam, so you don't have to worry about things. I'm going to talk about them in the class several times, and announcements, reminders. So as long as you participate in the class or like care about the course, there's no way that you miss the deadlines. Okay. Exam 2. And then here we have like spring break. I listed here what days we don't have any classes. And also, the same things that I just mentioned. Let me see. Was it here or was it in the course?
On this slide, it says March 30th, but in like the first couple slides, it says March 28th.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah, I was working on the course schedule and syllabus, and I was finalizing that before the class. That's why I didn't post that on Canvas. I'm going to update this and then post it. And if I change anything from course schedule and syllabus, I'm going to announce in the class, so don't worry about it. And I'm going to modify these. I try to, based on the course schedule and the syllabus, I try for them to be consistent, but I'm going to go through them and make sure they are consistent. Okay, any other question? Good? Okay, so I won't keep you guys longer just because. So, see you on Friday. So for the final exam, please remember the exam for the final exam is just at 8 a.m. And again, I'm going to emphasize that during the semester, but I don't want anyone missing final exam because it's 200 points and we don't want to miss that one. Okay, any question about the course schedule? Everything crystal clear? Okay, so how many of you are freshmen? Okay, and how many of you had like any type of chemistry course before? Yeah, in general, in high school or like before. Okay, how many of you didn't have any course about chemistry? Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I thought, because this is like 275. I thought that probably you know about chemistry. Okay, so do you guys have any questions for me? Anything? About like course schedule, like book, attendance? Yes?
I think you discussed this, but are you going to be posting the slides before class so that we can review them?
I can do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
In regards to like exams, will you tell us when those are? Because there are 2 different dates for an exam, and I don't know if the actual is.
Oh, which one?
It was like exam 2.
Oh, okay.
It had
Yeah,
different
probably.
dates.
Okay. Was it?